How many scientists does it take to ignite passion for science and engineering in the next generation? This is obviously more than a simple riddle. Up next on Campus Conversations, our nation's capital played host to the first annual Science and Engineering Festival, and we'll find out how some Montgomery College professors are helping to spark an interest in all things science.
Hi, I'm James McLean.
And I'm Marcus Rosano.
And this is Campus Conversations, the show that brings you in touch with your community and your community's college, Montgomery College.
Today we are talking about science. We all know that tomorrow's scientists and engineers will shape the future, and that today's students will become those scientists and engineers. So there's no time like the present to spark a passion for science.
And that's just what happened at the first annual USA Science and Engineering Festival on the National Mall. Festival organizers have also initiated the Nifty 50 campaign. A select group of 50 professionals in the science and technical fields are visiting area middle and high schools to share their passion for science.
With us now are Montgomery College chemistry professor and member of the Nifty 50, Susan Bontems, and Margaret Latimer, the Associate Dean for Instructional Programs at the college's Germantown campus. Welcome to you both. Thank you for being on this edition of Campus Conversations. Professor Bontems, let's start with you. It's been quite a year. Not only are you part of the Nifty 50 program, but you were named the 2009 Professor of the Year.
Yes.
So how are you dealing with all the fanfare?
Actually, it's very exciting. It's been fun. A lot of events and recognition that the college has given me, and I appreciate that. It's nice when you do put a lot of work into your job that you get recognized.
Before we get into the Nifty 50, let's talk about what you do at the college and a little bit of your background at the college and the things that you obviously have done to earn Maryland Professor of the Year.
Well, the Professor of the Year nomination comes from doing a lot of different things. I had to put together a whole package of things that said I was doing all the right things to be qualified. And with my former colleague, I had written some lab manuals to make the labs safer and more effective. I organized part of the lecture series at Montgomery College, the Spectrum Lectures that are for science-oriented speakers to come present things to our students. And obviously I put a lot of time into my classes, to labs and lectures to make them as interesting and accessible as possible. And we also do honors classes, which is an important component to the chemistry department at Germantown.
Very good.
Okay, I can see why they chose you to be a part of the Nifty 50. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about this? What exactly will you be doing?
So again, as you mentioned, it's 50 areas, excuse me, area scientists that will go into high schools and present something that they have worked with in their field. And the goal is to try to get students interested in science and to see how scientists do what they do and how their careers have evolved. And so I'm going into a high school in Baltimore, actually a Catholic school, and I'm going to talk about polymers because I worked in polymers, in particular working with adhesives in polymers. And so I'm going to do some demonstrations. I brought one of the demonstrations along to show students how polymers are used. And shall I go ahead and do that now or wait till later? Or
Well, you've mentioned you can go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do
so
it.
what
Let's
we've got
see this.
here is a superabsorbent polymer. These are used in particular in diapers, for example. That's the largest place where you would use these polymers. And if I pour this water into here, you'll notice how much the polymer can absorb the water. I can keep adding large quantities of water, and I'll just keep adding water until it, in fact, turns all of this water into a solid mass.
It looks like a snow cone.
It does look like a
does.
snow cone. And again, this is very effective in a diaper at preventing leaks. And if I were brave, I would tip it upside down, but I'm scared it'll fall out, so I won't do that.
That's
Very
amazing.
interesting. Thank you.
It-
Professor Latimer, you are the person who actually nominated Professor Bontems for the Nifty 50. Before you talk about that, let's just learn a little bit about you and what you do at Montgomery College's Germantown campus.
I am currently serving as the Associate Dean for Instructional Programs. I was the chair of the mathematics department prior to that and a faculty member in the math department. So my current task and job, I guess, is to help make the instructional programs run smoothly, effectively, promote the programs, our engineering science programs. We have a biotechnology program at the Germantown campus, and to acknowledge the good works of fabulous faculty like Dr. Bontems.
Now, you nominated Dr. Bontems. How did you reach that decision?
Well, it was in part because of her being the recent recipient of the 2009 Professor of the Year Award. But her student evaluations are absolutely fabulous. And for someone who teaches organic chemistry, that's probably a little bit unusual. One that stands out in my mind is the student who referred to having heard that organic chemistry was the hardest course on earth, and that she made it not only enjoyable but very comprehensible, that even the most difficult topics were clear. And all of her evaluations tend to read in those glowing terms of difficult material made understandable. She brings in real-world current examples that make it clear to students, and that she works to make sure everyone understands what's going on. So it was sort of an obvious decision. We have a lot of good faculty, actually, at all three campuses. So there were choices that had to be made, but she really sort of came to the head of the class, and it was a privilege to be able to put her name forward.
She sounds like the perfect candidate.
Professor Bontems, let's talk a little bit more about the students. What are some of your personal goals with the Nifty 50 campaign, and that you're going to be reaching out to students that aren't in the college level yet? What are some of the things that you want to address to them? What is it, do you want to show enthusiasm towards the science careers? Just some of your goals when you're going to do these presentations.
Well, I'm extremely pleased that it's a girls' high school, and I was chosen, I think, in particular because I'm a woman coming in to speak to these girls. And my daughter went to a Catholic high school, so I can relate very much to these students. And so they've given us very clear guidelines. They want us to tell a little bit about our career and how our career has evolved, talk about what interests us in the science related to everyday things, and that's why polymers is good, because polymers are used everywhere. And so I'm hoping that they can see the relevance of science, that they can see that there are interesting careers in science, and particularly as women, that they can do whatever they want to do in science fields.
How do you feel that this program will help out the future?
Wow, that's a big question.
Well, specifically the future with the younger kids that are going to see this, the ones that are actually going to witness your presentation.
Well, you just never know. I mean, you can hope that the good things come. I've agreed actually to stay after the talk and meet with science students who are particularly interested in chemistry, and so then you hope to nurture that interest and help it grow into people who will major perhaps in chemistry. We don't get a lot of chemistry majors, so we always are eagerly anticipating trying to recruit new people to study the field.
I see.
Professor Latimer, let's talk a little bit about Montgomery College in relation to local high schools and even junior highs, or even in elementary schools. What is some of the reach out or the outreach that the college actually does to bring some younger students into some of the great things that we're doing here in our science departments at the college?
Okay, there are bridge programs. At the Germantown campus, for instance, we have summer programs that involve robotics activities for children this age. There has been a recent Frontier in Science Day that involves some of the biotech companies. Johns Hopkins University Shady Grove campus is a part of that. The Shady Grove Adventist Hospital participates. Montgomery College participated. 2 8th grades were targeted. Children brought in 567 of them, I think, visited that day. And the idea is to have them see exactly what's going on in these biotech companies, actually see people working at the bench, as it were. They're each given a lab coat, and we understand from the previous year when this was done that there were children who actually went home wearing their lab coats and talking about being a scientist. And sometimes in the classroom alone, students don't get the sense of what the day-to-day activities of a scientist would be. They can't really see themselves as a scientist. So some of these activities are to give them hands-on experience and actually put them in that environment so that they see real people doing these things. And it's the idea of having someone like Dr. Bontems talk. It's different from their teacher. It's not going to a museum where there may be some hands-on activity, but you actually try to get these students to visualize, to see themselves, to imagine what it's like to be a scientist, and learn a little bit about the hard work that's involved as well, and not branding themselves as math science people or not math science people, but to realize that there are a variety of people doing a variety of jobs, and most people work very hard to get there, and that's okay.
I'm interested to know, I guess this is a question for both of you. Growing up and when you went into high school and college, did you have a goal, a personal goal of working in the sciences? And how will you relate that to some of the students, some of the younger students that you talk with?
Oh, you go first.
Go ahead.
I in high school loved chemistry immediately, and so it was never a choice for me of anything else. It was just what it interested me most. I could imagine it best, and so I was very single-minded in my pursuit of chemistry. Having said that, when I left graduate school, I swore I would never do anything with polymers. I thought they were awful and miserable big blobs of molecules that were
They look cool.
They look cool. Very gooey, uncharacterizable from standard chemistry techniques point of view. And so by chance, I was really forced into, by a move that I made with my family, to working with polymers, and as it turns out, I love them. And so that's sort of the story of, you don't know where your career is going to take you, but definitely chemistry has been something that I've loved all the time, and so I didn't have other interests besides that really academically.
I did go to college with the interest of going into science, and although I was in the math faculty at the Germantown campus, my degrees are actually in physics and bioengineering, and it's the experimental world that I really enjoy. I consider myself sort of a lab rat at heart and like the tinkering and the hands-on process of doing science, and I think that's one of the reasons I think some of these activities are so important for kids to get that experience hands-on.
And do you feel being involved in this campaign will help benefit the college? It's for either of you.
I think so, yes. I think when the activities have been on the mall, we will have had demonstrations that will, I think, put some limelight on Montgomery College. Community colleges are in the news these days like they never have been, in part because of President Obama. And I see the day coming where, just as now students who complete a bachelor's degree and go on to a different institution for a graduate degree, I think the model of going to a community college for the first 2 years and then continuing for a bachelor's degree, for all kinds of reasons, financial reasons, maturity. Students often go off to a 4-year school and aren't quite ready for it. So I think, yes, this will be very good for Montgomery College.
We only have a couple of minutes left here, but talk a little bit about the actual Science and Engineering Festival. You were mentioning earlier that some of the students are going to have lunch with some very important people.
Yes, the event opened on October 10th, and the culminating activity is the 2-day exposition on the mall that occurred on October 23rd and 24th, with organizations, not just academic institutions, but some of the science and engineering organizations, with demonstrations, hands-on activities, and the ability for the public, not just children at this point because it was on the mall, but for people to interact with scientists, engineers, talk about what they do, how they got to where they are, how do you decide what problem to work on. And one of the really exciting things is, for some students, I think it's 12 Nobel laureates have agreed a lunch with a laureate program, and these are children from 8th grade, I think, through high school, who will have had this opportunity, or will in the future, to sit down with a Nobel laureate and talk about not just their research, but again, the process of learning science, of doing science. And that's what students really need to be engaged in at a young age, to understand that it is a process, and it starts young, and it can carry you through your whole life with a great deal of joy.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is very exciting.
Okay, we have about a minute left. Professor Bontems, if there are any high school students that are watching this right now, what would you tell them, and why should they take some of your classes at Montgomery College?
As opposed to taking classes elsewhere? So certainly, I feel like we offer the best you can get, and we have small classes. I know all the students in my classes. I know their personal backgrounds. I know when they've done poorly on a quiz or an exam, and I know how to reach out to them and try to bring them up to speed on things. And I think you can't get that with 300 students in a classroom. And so I think, like Margaret mentioned, we have great professors in every area, and so it's just a privilege to get to teach at Montgomery College.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you both. When we come back, we'll explore just how exciting science can be.
I have found that the greatest gift that I've had in my life is either someone just saying something to me at the right moment, or opening a book, or turning on the television, and someone had something to say that make a difference in my life. Not to preach, but to write in such a way that it could open someone up to something. So I'm hoping that my writing may make a difference in someone else's life. I hope so.
Montgomery College, endless possibilities, 240-567-5000.
The reality is that there are very strong career opportunities in networking and technology.
It doesn't matter if you're a woman, if you're a man, what culture you're from. It's more the value that you bring to the table.
Welcome back to Campus Conversations. We've been talking today about the sciences.
That's right, and the USA Science and Engineering Festival was a great place to discover the wonders of physics, biology, chemistry, you name it. Fritzy Bontems was at the festival on the National Mall.
Hi guys, I'm out here at the USA Science and Engineering Festival where discovery and innovation are on display. Scientists and engineers from around the world have gathered to share their knowledge and passion. Festival organizer Larry Bach, a veteran of the bioscience and engineering industries, says we need to create more excitement about the sciences.
The last few companies that I was involved in, I could not recruit Americans to the advanced science positions for a number of reasons. One, Americans weren't going into these areas. Number two, with the sort of H-1 visa issues, I could not, retain foreigners that were trained here. And number three, now the opportunities are greater abroad. So unless we reinvigorate the interest of our young people in the sciences, we will have outsourced innovation. And I can guarantee you, once you've done that, the game is over. I saw these festivals ongoing in Europe, and what I loved about them was this notion that society gets what it celebrates. So we celebrate Lindsay Lohan and Britney Spears, and we generate a lot of Lindsay Lohan wannabes, but we don't celebrate science and engineering. And I thought that would be something to bring back to the States to reinvigorate the interest of young people in the sciences.
This is a great experience and really a privilege to be asked to partner with the organizers of the event. As you'll see, if you look around and look at the list of participants, it's pretty much a roster of the main research institutions and organizations, as well as commercial organizations in the country, and it's just outstanding experience to be here with all those people and have the privilege of giving the opportunity to so many people to see things that they just might not otherwise have a chance to experience.
There will be 1,500 hands-on activities and 75 stage shows here. So there's sort of the whole gamut of sophistication, from flight simulators and virtual reality environments and surgical robots to making structures with marshmallows and toothpicks. The amazing thing about this event is the number of sponsors to the event. There are over 100 corporate sponsors, from Lockheed Martin, Life Technologies, the Science Channel, K&L Gates. There you have a leading aerospace company, a leading biotechnology company, a leading communications company, and a law firm, all supporting an event like this. And there are 95 others. So we've gotten incredible support for an event like this.
I'm very excited this festival is promoting science and engineering, and I'm very excited to look around at the other exhibits and seeing so many young people coming to our all the exhibits and being excited about science.
What I love about the Science Festival is the way the exhibitors figure out how to take their complicated science and put it in a format that's accessible to the public, and that's the part that gets me most excited.
We always try to attract young people into sciences. Interestingly, up until about the 8th grade, most kids are fascinated and very interested in science, and then the teenage years come by and something else happens and a lot of them drop out. We would obviously like to try to sustain that. And I think the key to that is to emphasize, probably more than we've done in the past, that science really is enjoyable. It's hard work, but there's a lot of personal and professional satisfaction in a scientific career.
With lots of programs at 3 campus locations, Montgomery College students are preparing for bachelor degree programs and career opportunities in the growing technology field right here in Montgomery County.
The science and engineering program at Montgomery College is quite large. We have around 6,000 students taking an SEM course every year. Many of those students are in our engineering program, also in various other SEM courses, math, physics, chemistry, preparing for professional degrees of one kind or another.
Professor Virginia Miller teaches chemistry and knows that it can be a very daunting subject.
My philosophy is that anyone can really learn chemistry, and I try to break it down into the really simple concepts and explain those concepts as clearly as possible to the students and try to relate it to everyday life. Things are easier to understand if you can relate them to something that you see on a daily basis. So my objective is kind of to show them the applications of chemistry and teach them the basic principles of chemistry as well.
I tell my students physics is everywhere, all around us if we just look in our everyday lives, and that's how I get them motivated and excited about physics.
Professor Miller and Dr. Ben-Muna are not alone. Montgomery College focuses its efforts on the success of its students and is clearly providing its science, engineering, and math students with the experience they need to take it to the next level. Right behind me, some Montgomery College students and faculty are demonstrating some pretty neat stuff. We'll take a look when we come back.
I'm in my third year with Montgomery College in an active program, Air Conditioning Contractors of America. With the opportunities that's been provided me, I'm going to school, working with a very good company. They want you to be highly trained, and Montgomery College provides that. To get a degree is very, very important. The piece of paper that you get with that, you can take with you anywhere, and no one can take it away once you get it.
Montgomery College, endless possibilities, 240-567-5000.
America's economic prosperity in the 21st century will depend on cybersecurity.
With over 1.9 billion people online across the globe, cybersecurity jobs are in high demand to protect our public and national security. Master today's technology by enrolling in the Montgomery College Cybersecurity Program. We prepare entry-level computer technicians with expertise to enter the workforce or transfer credits for advanced degree opportunities. Apply today. Montgomery College, endless possibilities.
We're here at Montgomery College's booth where they're demonstrating an amazing technology called magnetic levitation. We're about to find out what that's all about. This small group of students spent their summer in a Montgomery College lab exploring the way magnets work, and they came up with what might be the coolest exhibit at the festival.
So what we've done is built two magnetic tracks composed of the super strong neodymium iron boron magnets, and we're using a superconductor called yttrium barium copper oxide. It's a high temperature superconductor because at liquid nitrogen temperatures it will superconduct, meaning that it will repel an external magnetic field, so it will levitate over that magnetic tracks that we've created.
The cars inside them, they're superconductors, and we cool it down using liquid nitrogen because I would say it was the most cheapest we could find, basically. And we couldn't use dry ice because it's more like solid form. Liquid nitrogen is liquid, so you can just pour it in. It would be easier to use. And helium would be the other option, but that's really expensive.
With some cars we have two superconductors, and some cars we just have one. And we are deciding what type and how big the superconductor we're going to put by the size of the car too. So most of the time, I've observed that if it's like two superconductors in a car, it's going to be like 5 to 10 minutes. But if it's just one superconductor and it's small, it's just going to be 3 to 5.
And guess what? Levitating toy cars and critters aren't the only thing these high-powered magnets can do.
Some of the applications are potentially transportation, such as trains and possibly even cars in the future. Actually, some real-world applications are still being applied today.
The process of developing these demonstrations helps these aspiring scientists experience a real-world example of how one small experiment can open doors to endless possibilities.
This is something that the students built themselves from the very beginning until the very end. They were involved in all of the decision making and the problem solving process. So they got a chance to really experience what it is like to work in a real research type setting where you don't know the answer to the problem and you have to solve problems that arise as you're working on the project. So it's been a great learning experience for them. It's been a wonderful learning experience for myself as well, working with these great students and watching them grow and mature as scientists.
At the beginning, this was a small project. They didn't even realize the recognition that they were going to get out of this. And I think they're just truly, they're enjoying that. They're amazed. And I asked them, did you expect that something like this could happen at Montgomery College? And they all unanimously say, no, we didn't think that we could accomplish this here. And they're very happy. And so we're very proud of them. As faculty members, we're proud of them.
The festival was well attended and introduced all ages to the wonders that science has to offer. We saw everything from the wonders of magnets to an energy-producing bike, a cannon that shoots air, a surgical robot, a stage show about energy, and even a Rubik's Cube contest. The festival showed us how science really is a part of our everyday lives, and it can be kind of fun, too. So as you can see, from solar races to outer spaces, children of all ages who came out to the mall today got the chance to explore the mystery of science. As we finish our visit to the USA Science and Engineering Festival, we've learned a lot and can only imagine what the future holds. For Campus Conversations, I'm Fritzi Bodenheimer.
Thanks to Fritzi for that report. Some pretty cool stuff went on down there, didn't it?
Yeah, there really was. Unfortunately, we're out of time for today.
Thanks for watching Campus Conversations, the show that brings you in touch with your community and your community's college, Montgomery College. I'm James McClain.
And I'm Marcus Rosano. We'll see you next time.